Okay, and I see more and more people are joining. So before we start, I want to say for newcomers, if you want to update your progress, feel free to add your slides anytime during the meeting. But please make sure at the very end of the all existing projects and make sure that I know that you have added something. And thanks for keeping things organized. Okay, so it's already 2:10. Let's start. So welcome to Zuzalu Software Townhall October. And as the very end of this month, so before we start, I see many new faces. So what is Zuzalu Software? Zuzalu Software is a DAC movement calling upon builders to create a world where communities can own and innovate their civilization using decentralized tools they need. And we also run ZuBuilder Guild to fund those long-term contributors. And if you join Zuzalu Software Town Hall, we will share your projects and you can get feedback from a community, and you can discover collaborators and sponsor here and tap into a growing network of aligned builders and hubs, and will help promote your work on socials. Next, this is the details for ZuBuilder Guild. If you present consecutively 3 times at Zuzalu Software Town Hall, you'll be eligible to join. And this is our previous town hall. Yesterday I counted, we have 17 town halls. What an amazing number. And next, so I see some familiar faces at the Ethereum Communities AMA session, AMA episode 7, and I know you come here for grants, for money, and this is ECF Pensieve. But before money, let's wait for a few minutes to get the recent updates from the amazing magical mechanism. And let's welcome QJ to update some progress.
I am amazing because of the amazing team. Thank you very much, and our community for all the support. Taking this opportunity, I'm very happy to share the tons of work that we've done, the team put off for the last weeks to have added all these, I'd say, enhancements. I think Kelly put very well there for this experiment on decentralized consensus. The fun, like a little bit of a introduction. I mean, I guess a lot of us on the call are familiar with the project, this key innovation that ECF has been coordinating with many projects that are working on common knowledge and collective intelligence. And I want to reflect upon a call we just had with Pooja, I think yesterday. We've been having a series of conversations on how to boost the collective coordination on knowledge and information. And one of the key things that she mentioned and resonated with us a lot is that when power concentrates, it usually then is distributed into 2 parts. One is, of course, what we know, which is resources. And we have the very high profile and resource concentrated authorities to steer the communities with directions of giving support in the terms of resource. But another one that is heavily overlooked is the concentration of mouthpiece of information. When this becomes a loop, then you get what we've seen in the more traditional world and in a society where information and knowledge is also concentrated. So this goes into different narratives of the outcome of how resources are concentrated. And then this becomes a loop that does not allow new talent and evolving communities to surface, and makes it at least way harder than what we could have had in a more equitable growth-enabled society model. And Pensieve is exactly at this cutting-edge trend or if it's not formed as a trend yet, but at least as one of the efforts to break that loop. If information or interpretation of what is legitimate is not just concentrated in a few hands of gatekeepers, if communities were to coordinate among themselves to see what our values are, what are value aligned, what are good work, that do not necessarily spell into immediate results yet, but are worth building and worth working on, then we have a much more open community and society model to welcome much more contributions to be made and recorded and rewarded accordingly. And this has been something that has always been in the mind of, from the very beginning of ECF's coordination and research efforts. And we also hope that this becomes one of the tools, Pensieve would become one of the tools that would allow any other, let's say, coordination and across communities, even globally, to happen. Because all the foundation of having anything resolved is that we have first alignment on the cognition, on what we see as problems and what are good solutions, and then follows a sound decision-making process to make resources and support go into these projects. We don't necessarily have that in a status quo. All the information and knowledge has still been controlled not by the public. And Pensieve would be one of those tools that we hope to at least change the dynamics a little bit, or in long run with more ambitions that could help with global coordinations at addressing difficult challenges. And Kelly, I just realized Pensieve is spelled not right. So if you could refresh the slides and then show it again. I don't know whether we've ever got the opportunity to explain the name Pensieve. Sieve itself is a way to filter through things. Like when you use that sieve to filter the farine, right? When you bake something and you get more clear results. And pen comes from pensare, where we think together. So this is a collective tool. And the new features, as the slide is showing, very excitingly, we are finally integrating with AI agents. We know a lot of the information are already online, and then people are checking them, not necessarily through finding the prime source. So we are relying a lot on GPTs and DeepSeeks and Groks and anything like that to help us find information without double checking. Instead of working against it, our idea is to facilitate this process with allowing our users to actually check information very smoothly with an agent in the future, also governed by the community, to fill in the information. But this is when we actually highlight human attention and really value human attention, because all this information online is much easier to get now with these agents. But at the same time, it is more precious if we could put our attention into verification before we submit it into our collective knowledge base. Another funny observation that we found during this process of researching on agents are that many very high-profile projects are much more available with their information through these agents. But once we put our eyes onto public goods, onto projects that are building things that are not so, with community support, it is much more difficult for these agents to have any information to provide. And this is rendering a very, very interesting result, which is the contribution that our community contributors are working on Pensieve are even more valuable now, because you'll be filling in what is not available online. You'll be getting much more visibility once the information of these projects that are worth building, that are not noticed, that are over-delivering into the attention. And through ECF Pensieve, it's more likely that we can be crawled and then included in the indexing of, let's say, traditional search engines result, and then become something that puts a track record onto our collective contribution into shaping and innovating the ways that community coordinates. So that's that. And this is, funny enough, open to everyone to use. So once you get into, I'm not sure if Reno is around, whether this is already in deployment, because we already tested it. So anybody who will be contributing the knowledge will be able to use this agent and then fill in a page of what the agent has immediately. Then the user experience would require users to still verify the information and submit it as your own contribution to be verified. So this is our way of answering to the challenge of, let's say, AI. Even though we have not gone as far as decentralizing the governance over the agent, but as a community, we can decide which agent we want to use. So this is just a starting point for us to integrate instead of fighting against, and really highlight human attention as a scarce resource. The second thing is live support. This has been something that I have been personally very rooted for. It's a new tool, and it has very, let's say, counterintuitive method. What you write is not completely yours. It is subject to communities editing and support, verification and all that. So we foresee that there will be quite many friction points when you're frustrated, when you're not sure how you could go forward with putting your projects on the map. Live support would be very, very precious. And I promise you, we are all the contributors are there to respond to any questions users would have. And we also welcome more of the community members to join us in helping others out. Then the third thing that is even more exciting, in my opinion, because we have been working on it for quite some time, the smart contracts were ready for the Zuzalu Software context for anybody who's in an event in a community to set up your own very live, transparent ads. We thought it would be one of the best opportunities for us to test it on Pensieve first, because once we are contributing to the knowledge together, which is already happening with the open alpha, we all should benefit from this attention. If any advertisers are willing to put a price to the billboard that they're advertising to us and to the users that are reading the data that we commit. And this is an attempt to see how Pensieve can be self-sustainable. And if it's working very well, then it will be also rewarding the contributors of each pages directly when there will be ad profits to the page that people are looking at, right? So we'll start with homepage now, but once the smart contracts are tested and everything, it will be going into different pages, and it will also be going into the community toolkit of Zuzalu Software. We are also very happy to support any other events that have their own websites and stuff, so that this open source tool can be used for supporting communities' efforts in their own space. And this will be presented also at the Radical Exchange Townhall next week to hear their feedback, and they're very excited to see a real instance that is going to roll into a real project sustainability. Then we have custom filters and filters and sharing. And this is somewhat a smaller feature, but in fact, it is a big step into transparent grants. We all have the experiences of application, and we don't know where our applications are or where they will turn into until we see whether or not our project is in the short list of the granting candidate. Pensieve, for coordination of resources, is determined to change that. I think our perennial grant started with the sentence, we're tired of black boxes. These custom filters are what we're using for perennial grant, so that it's completely transparent under such filters which projects are considered qualified. And this in the future can be used by any grant program to set transparent rules to filter through projects that they want to support. And the results will be completely in community's view. Whether or not these projects with high ranks are actually supported at the end of the day are subject to accountability and oversight of the entire community. With this function, we have also my own list, so you could save the projects that are in your interesting topics with these filters into your own list that can be public or private. Also, it can be a automatic sieve, like a Pensieve, where you could share these filters and then dynamically receive all the new projects into the ranking of this filter result that can be shared. You can rename this sieve, this feed, as a certain grant, which means any individuals who are willing to support projects of your interest would be able to set up a grant. This completely decentralizes the granting process, and we are also integrating with projects like Sublier so that these eligible projects, according to your own filters, would be able to be directly supported and directly funded by anybody else in the community, any individuals or any communities that are willing to support these filtered results of good efforts. These will be much more smoothly integrated in the future, but we're starting out with allowing this filter to be a tool, a function that anybody can use in case they want to leverage a certain ranking themselves in their own community testing and innovations. And there are a few new items that help projects to be more demonstrating and disclose more of their progress, such as roadmaps. And you also have much more demanding items such as token benefits, token risks, token rights, and all of these things that compel projects to be much more transparent with their community when they are asking for support to directly into the tokens of the said community. On top of which, we also have the storage upgrade. We have not yet translated all the function and logics into smart contracts and put it as a D app for Pensieve. And this is because we're still in the progress of involving more community members to play with the Pensieve, to test the mechanism, because after all, it's a social technology that requires social interactions for further validation. We don't want to put it completely decentralized yet in case there's anything that can go wrong, even though the mechanism has been researched and developed on for more than 5 years now. But without community support, we will never be confident enough to make it a decentralized app yet. However, the data, the contributions that everyone is making to Pensieve will be permanently stored. So once we will be on-chain, these contributions will not be overlooked, and it will be rewarded altogether with the on-chain version of Pensieve. And last, we have notification updated. I don't know whether you guys noticed when you log into Pensieve, you have your notification little dot, and then you might have a ton of notifications about the progress of the projects you're following, about the items that you have contributed to, and these all help us keep in sync with how the knowledge base is performing towards social consensus of the communities that are involved. We also have very exciting functions that that have been developed and then discussed with researchers such as our at the ECF and also with Pooja on complaints and redress. And this is one of the key factors of evaluating accountability of organizations. And we have finally found breakthrough to make it as simple as possible, but at the same time as reflective of as possible of an organization. And this might put some sweat onto organizations because anonymous complaints would be something that creates tension and social discussions. But at the same time, the crucial part here is that organizations and their community members would be able to address these complaints and then see these complaints redressed. And this is part of the growth of an organization. And all of this would be enabled with anonymous entry. And then the same function could go into something that we have been toying around for quite some time, but very excited to launch itself, which is to have a completely open question and answer for Ethereum community knowledge, not just based on the context or frameworks of specific projects and organizations. It will be more open-ended for anybody to contribute to. And this itself is something that we know Pensieve had potential to do because common knowledge is social consensus, and it is much more open to any individual to contribute to than in the, let's say, framework of specific projects. So And it's a long update of lots of the great things that we're very excited about for users and our community members to try out. And hopefully that made sense for anybody to be excited. And I see Jason is excited for the AI agent function. And you can follow up on the more updates at our X, and also in the coming Huddle. I think we will have some time, if anybody is interested, to ask us questions and for support after the regular Zuzalu Software Town Hall support as a community huddle for us to provide answers to questions and give support to specific needs. And thank you, Kelly, for rolling down to this page. And the next page is, I think some of us are already familiar with, because it's already in week 3 of our experiment, which is called Perennial Grant. And the reason why it is with this name is that we believe it shouldn't be the case that great projects have to worry about their sustainability every now and then putting in a lot of efforts for applications. If we had at the first place Pensieve as a place for us to coordinate on information knowledge and what needs to be built on, then funding should be much more lasting and continuous for these projects to have less worry to continue to be built. And this is an experiment of the first Epic one for us to test the project's mechanism, the Pensieve mechanism, together with mini grants. And we've seen a lot of interest and participation already. So taking this opportunity, I want to explain a little bit the vision and goals is kind of weaved in what I said previously about why we started Pensieve in the first place. And this is for a very community-powered and transparent model for funding to come into projects' need. Of course, now we are setting up the filters. If you look at the second quadrant on the chart, the eligibility being tradable token, pre-investment stage in public goods project. But in the future, they can be setting in very many of the sub-ranks of different categories of what need to be built. And we are hoping to have more grant programs pulling in together so that this continues for specific ranks and tracks in a considerably longer time for all these projects to get not necessarily a huge chunk of the funds that they need at the very beginning, but through good and sustainable work, they would be able to continue to be funded along the way as long as they fit into the criteria of those ranks. Right now, it's relatively kept in a high-level public goods sector for experimentation, and we've already seen a few great projects surfacing from the community projects. And it is supposed to go on for 10 weeks. So if you're new now, any week is a good week for you to join this experiment. And the top 5 projects will be getting these mini awards for your participation, and as a gratitude also towards helping us out for experimenting with the Perennial Grant itself and also with Pensieve. Every week there will be 2 ranks that will be given out these awards. One would be transparency, which means you don't necessarily need any popularity competition. As long as the projects are transparent and fitting these standards during the week of challenge, meaning like the key standards and key qualifications are not changed afterwards by community members and saying, hey, I don't think you're really a public goods or actually got investment, then you will be receiving the award of that previous week. An accountability rank is a slightly more complicated rank. Right now, it's kept simple with just transparency and popular support. But we are upgrading along the way with adding more metrics, such as what we mentioned as earlier with the complaints and redress. So in the whole rank of accountability, which we have docs ready that are in the last stage of polishing to get out, there are 4 key characters of an organization's accountability evaluation. One is transparency, as we have already been testing in the first rank as well. Another would be performance evaluation and community participation. And the last one will be complaints and redress. And these would all be factoring into the final result of accountability. And with voting right now, with the simple testing purpose, we are allowing CPs contribution points to be voted and changed very easily. But in the future, time elements would be introduced, and whether specific affiliation with the projects will be discounted or actually amplified, all of these will be transparently announced in the rules of accountability. For what we know, I think that for this Epoch 1 experiment, things won't change so much, so don't worry about it. But we're happy for these 10 weeks for an opportunity for all of us to be involved and helping us out with improving how evaluations can work better for evaluations. And the last thing is that we do have a lot more items that would reveal the transparency and accountability of projects that are in our quote-unquote arsenal. And a lot of them are much more controversial items. So it will get more and more difficult for anybody to reach very high in their transparency rating very soon, unless very, very open-minded projects at this stage would be surfacing very easily. But this is both pressure and also encouragement. We do want projects that are community-based, that have in the future, of course, their own economies, to be much more upfront and transparent with contributors and communities and different shareholders. So these will be necessary steps. But to translate them in real terms, it means the top 1 transparent project might not necessarily be the top 1 transparent project next week, because there will be more challenging items. So do come back to check whether you could reveal more information. If you don't, your community members would anyway do it. Who knows, right? So if it's available online. And if it's available online, it doesn't matter whether the projects themselves are willing to input the information, because that would mean, in any case, these available items of information can be filled in that then still reflects the transparency and accountability of a project. This is another 8,000-word paper that I'm trying to put into simple terms. But if you're interested, you could stay back after the Zuzalu Software Townhall call, and we'll be here to support. And in any case, stay tuned in with all our updates in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you, QJ. That's really a pretty good explanation for all the updates and the perennial grant experiment. And I believe some of you may have some questions for the grant. So we have community huddle for that, especially for that grant. So we can wait a few minutes to get your questions. And next is ZuVillage special grant. So before we jump into ZuVillage special grant, I want to say that I have never experienced such a transparent and amazing grant. Everything is on the table, no black boxes. You can you can punch the top 1 by your own. No more like corruption and call for big whales to vote for you. You can just you can just win the top 1 by your own hustling or efforts. And it's pretty interesting because it's difficult at the very first step, but very simple later. And because it's interesting, I always receive the late night messages asking, "Oh, Kelly, you got to tell me, I'm filling these items. How can I do it?" Okay, I will tell them one by one. But it's pretty interesting because each time I will find different questions, and all these questions make this game or experiment really, really valuable. And let's get into ZuVillage special grant. And this is a special grant, and thanks for ECF Pensieve for supporting a ZuVillage ecosystem. It's powered both technically and financially by ECF Pensieve, and thanks so much. And since 2023, Zuzalu started, and then Zuzalu Software aimed to offer the technology that can innovate the civilizations and tools the pop-up cities or communities need to help them survive or sustain. However, we offer technologies like event management, App Store Explorer, but our communities, our valuable users, they still face the problems of sustainability. So this time, before we approach to Dev Connect, we will host many events, and now it's time. And I believe many communities need some little financial support, and thanks ECF for support. We are rolling out this special grant during the perennial grant experiment, and the funding timeline is from today now on October 30 to November 13, 2 p.m., lasting 2 weeks. And for week 1, 2, the project will launch and vote and compete with each other. And the week 3 will be verification and interviews. For week 4, the fund distribution will be distributed via Supplier's smart contract. In the eligibility criteria, I want to say that it's kind of familiar with the perennial grant, no trading tokens, pre-investment stage, public good stage. But one more specific point is ZuVillages category. So it's complex and simple. Complexity is how to prove your ZuVillages. You just need to, the community will verify, right? And the simple one is just characterize yourself on Pensieve page, which I will show you later, and then choose the ZuVillage category. And remember, when you propose your project on Pensieve, come back and check the eligibility in real-time ranks. So sometimes we will face some problems like I filled in the wrong information. I'm a public good, however, I choose no for public good nature, so I'm not eligible. I know it's wrong information, but the eligibility criteria is based on Pensieve, everything on Pensieve. So we know you're not. However, you filled in wrong information, you don't have the eligibility. So it's quite. So just make sure that you are in the round, and you can, as QJ has just introduced the filter, you can just come back and click the link and just see if you are on the rank. If you are on the rank, then you are eligible for this grant. And for them, I think this is the point that most people care about. That's the award amounts. Top 1 to 5 accountable projects. It's kind of it's slightly different from perennial. We have only one track, that is accountability, and top 1 to 5 accountable projects will get $400, $200, $100, $50 respectively. And those are all the rules and details. And I will quickly go through the Pensieve and to give a quick demo, really quick. Wait a minute. Okay. So this is a really quick demo. I will just fill in test, but remember, you don't fill test because it's our archive already stored on our Wave. It will be permanently store your behaviors. So I'm just quickly show you that we have basic 20 items for Pensieve. For your initial project proposal. So this one, project name, tagline, project category, that's the core eligibility. So choose ZuVillages, remember. And tags, you can choose any tags that are that suits for your situation, and project description, project logo. Here I already done website, URL, and applet. If you have an applet, so that depends on your real situation. You can fill in your app link or just choose the NA. It's same for white paper, and choose the date funded and launch date. And remember, all the items should be filled before you go to the next page. If you don't fill, you cannot go to the next page, and it will show the prompt like this. So next, it's already finished. Okay, development status, open source status, repository link, smart contracts. It's all the other items, and the organization structure, public goods nature, founders. Just fill in real information. I'm just doing the demo. Do not follow me. And next, financial status. Remember, if you want to apply for the grant, you have to know, okay, this is the initial grant. We don't have the core eligibility here, but I will show you later. So just NA. Then after you fill in all the items, just create project. But because it will be permanently stored on the blockchain, I will not create here, and I will show you on another page. That's for pending projects. After you create a pending projects, and I see ZuKas is already published, and your projects will go here, the pending projects, and you need two other people. Remember, two other people to vote for yourself, and to vote for your project, and then your projects will be here. And you can see we have top transparent project here, Web3 Radio, also the top one winners for both accountability and transparency tracks during week 2. And another 2, I think, another 3 eligibility criteria. It's let me see, it's financial items. Investment stage, remember to choose no investment. These are new items after you propose an initial proposal. After you create an initial proposal and come back to fill in other items, there are, I think, way more than 20 items. And funding received, investment stage, and I think organization, public good nature. You fill in all those core eligibility criteria, you will be able to apply for the grant. So the important things will be repeated over and over, so please forgive me. I just want to make sure that you know the eligibility and apply for the grant. You get the money, right? And if you have any problems, use the function here, live chat. We will support you. I think we aim to support 24 hours, but we will reply as soon as possible if you leave some question here. Okay, I think that's all for the ZuVillage special grant. I will go back here, go back to this slide. Also, if you have, as time is rushing, I think if you have any questions, just leave in the chat box. I will reply it or leave it to the Huddle time. So next, I will share. I think next is AAStar. Jason. So my old friend finally come back.
Yeah.
Please give us.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, about 2 months silent. We are just keep fighting with source code, AI. I can show something because the slides just single page. So I will share the screen and then give a glance through about our contributions and the new releasement. The first one is like AirAccount is like a decentralized account. You can use passkey and KMS. KMS is a backend with BLS and TEE, and also it's a security because all the membership private key keep on your fingerprint and the TEE in the ARM chips. And the second one is like the SuperPaymaster until now I'm testing. SuperPaymaster is a way to empower the community to your any token. If you launch some token for, for some, I don't know, it depends on you. But we can empower the ERC20 token to get ability for guest sponsorship with any ERC20 token. And you can access the links. It's like I opened already. There is some detailed things about what we are building and what we are testing and development, some plans, and some related links. And oh, I didn't share the screen, sorry. Let me share. Okay, I will switch to, oh. At this, I switch to another page. Could you see this page? Oh, that's good. So, Kelly or anyone, can you see this page? Oh. Okay, and I showed SuperPaymaster. This website is our SuperPaymaster, and this website is our AirAccount. You can register with your fingerprint and keep your private key in your own community server. It means, I think I have this one, yeah. I post a Twitter thread to show the, if you community launch your own private key KMS, you can just buy a ITM32. It's like a KMS backend hardware to empower your community to keep your own KMS server. Yeah. And also, if you want to launch a SuperPaymaster, just follow the steps. Yeah, it's my local test. This is the main site website of SuperPaymaster. You can just launch your own community Paymaster to empower your ERC20 token to get ability of gas token. And you can go back to, I think that's good. Wow, slow. Okay, I think some detailed links, you can follow the AAStar.io to fetch more contents. I post just a snapshot in the red corner. It's like we release about 8 new products. As all this is on beta version. We are still on testing in the inertia. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. What a big progress after you vanished for months and you come back with such great news, exciting news. It's really exciting. And does anyone have any question for Jason and for AAStar? If not, let's go to next. This is Jesse. Jesse, could you give us some updates on this maybe new project?
Sure. Hi, everybody. This is a real simple one. It's just a very small public goods project that is essentially, the purpose of this is to create something like a safe type template for equity swaps between founders and early team members. If you're not familiar with what SAFEs are, that stands for Standard Agreement for Equity, and this is like a legal agreement template that was created by Y Combinator to make investing in early stage projects easier with less due diligence and administrative overhead. So the idea is that, like, as founders and people working on early stage projects, it would be great if we could invest in each other's projects. And so the idea is that we're going to create a simple legal template that will allow us to exchange some of our personal equity for equity in other projects. And that's about de-risking projects for ourselves, diversifying our investments. For those of us that it's like maybe don't have a lot of like liquid capital to invest in angel into other projects, but would like to have exposure to good people doing good work in this industry. It's another way of investing. And so I'm working on this with the Consensus Network Stake project. They're creating a new framework for flexible legal agreements. This is native on-chain legal agreements called Signet. It's a pretty cool project. And then Block Science has a new game. It's a governance game called Polycentric, which is about, it's basically like it's a game all about making agreements. And so what we're doing is we're using this game to help to surface considerations from people that we need to factor into what type of variables a legal agreement template like this should include. So we're gonna host an event or two at DevConnect to talk with people and take feedback as we are working on this small project. And one of the things that this will result in, which is kind of interesting, is an investment graph, and that could be really interesting to help with information in the industry for future funding rounds, to help good founders, teams, projects find additional funding, because as investing is trending toward funds of funds, they're delegating diligence down to people that are closer to these teams and projects. So what people will be able to do is to look at the data of who is investing in what, and sort of like if social graphs are mapping our relationships one-to-one, person-to-person, and community graphs are mapping the extent of our membership in groups, investment graphs will function similarly in the way that you'll be able to see who is investing in what projects, and you can use some sort of transitive logic there to determine what else you might want to invest in based on who you see is invested in what. So that's just a real quick overview of what we're working on and where it's going.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. Does anyone has any question for the token swaps equity? So it's kind of like make a personal equity flow, right? To make it have liquidity.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, cool. That's cool. And so I get no questions. Let's unmute. Thanks, Jesse, coming back. And we're really great to see your new project. And next, let's come back to the. Okay, let's share the screen for Tarek. Let me see. Can you see my
Yep.
Can you see it? Okay. So this is a video or
A video is at the 5th page, but we can watch later. Hello, everyone, by the way. I'm Tarek from the ZuKas and the ZuGov team. 2 months ago, approximately 2 months ago, we started an experiment in Kaş. Kaş is a small coastal town. It's southern coast of Turkey. It's a fisherman village with a big history. And we had light-in roots for governance experiments, and we have a light-in roots for the first minted coin. And the ZuKas was not just another gathering. We tried to create a living prototype. We brought together builders, philosophers, researchers, and the community organizers to explore one question, actually. How can we bridge ancient democracy and their principles with emerging decentralized technologies? And we host discussions on plurality, self-governance, privacy, collective coordination. And we had one new concept beside the cosmolocalism. We discussed about the particle commons and their coordination. And we held our first Townhall, inspired by the Lithium League. it was one of the earliest examples of federated democracy. I put a picture from that town hall at the last page. Maybe bad design for me. But can you show the last page? Yeah, this one. It's an ancient parliament from like 2,700 years ago, and it was a capital of the Lycian state, and they was using plurality before the plurality, and weighted voting in there like approximately 3,700 years ago. And this year, we announced ZuKas II for April 10 to May 10, and we will continue the conversation about the governance, digital identity, privacy, and the political commons, and we are adding the ACK track to our discussions too. And beside that, we will also run the first alpha test of ZuGov, which is our open governance protocol. It's born from these experiments, and it's not like just a product. Actually, at the beginning, we start like a term improvement protocol, but after that, we saw a solution is not just creating a protocol, and we was need a complete tool. And because when we start this experiment first with the community governance, we was believing decentralization could fix everything. But after these experiments, we understand something. Still, we need some hierarchy, we need some leaders, and we need some still central authorities for this online. Only collective coordination is not enough. And we a little bit reshaped this is why the ZuGov protocol to complete governance tool. Now it's including every kind of voting system and voting mechanisms. Even we can create an anonymous pool or not anonymous ones too for more faster coordinations. For example, even for deciding to which side events we are gonna do, we don't need to anonymous pool for this. For example, people can see their friend's opinion or the schedule, etc. But beside that, we have a ZK and ZuPass, ZK ID and ZuPass integration. We have a simple majority voting, quadratic voting, weighted voting, and plurality voting for the ZuGov. And we are creating a useful database and eligibility criteria for issue owner can choose from this criteria to understand and determine the weight with weighted sum mechanisms. And beside that, we use Shannon entropies to create a different weight for the voting sessions. If you want to make a voting sessions as weighted voting, and the vote is decrease or increase between the 0 and the 1 about the situation. And every proposal and every experiment can have different weight of votings for individual persons, like a living algorithm. And we are waiting everyone for ZuKas II at April 10. You can find us at Twitter and at Soladay. And for first ZuKas, we have a recap video, like approximately 5 minutes. And maybe we can hear from the people which they attempt the ZuKas and they leave that experiment. And we can listen from them if it's suitable in the page 5. And thanks to Shaka for all the songs you will hear at all the video. Oh, Kelly, maybe you need to open your mic because there is no voice right now. Oh, still no voice. There is no voice still. Okay, if you want to watch, you can find it in the ZuKas account in Twitter and YouTube.
Okay,
Because
yes.
there is no volume right now.
So yeah, it has some problems with some volume. How do you say volume syncing? So you can copy paste the X link, and also I share the Canvas link. It's really a great job. So people definitely have to listen to the great songs and the great recap.
Let me share from the chat.
Thank you, Tarek, and thank you, ZuKas, for making those amazing ZuVillages. one of
Thank you
those
so much.
communities. Okay, so next, it will come to the community huddle. Let's share this one. This will be time for people who are interested in the perennial grant experiment and also the ZuVillage special grant. And also, if you have some questions, you can join this part. And in this part, I believe there will be some secrets or some playbook to help you to get more CPs. It's very, very important. And I have been constantly asked how to get higher CPs, how to boost my transparency scores. It's secret, but we will announce here. We will tell you here. Don't tell anybody. You have so many competitors. So if you have any questions, just open your mic and directly ask our QJ, and if I can help, or Reno, we are all here to support.
Maybe I can ask from the private.
Ask for private. Okay, sure. I will tell you.
Don't need to learn. To be honest, actually, like 3 or 4 months ago, I joined the alpha test of Pensieve, but I had no time to open our page, and I faced some problems, but we figured it out together. But still, for example, for every update, I believe we need a voting session again, at least 2 votes from another people's to make it pass. Yes. And I don't know. I am saying that in every meeting, we have no Discord in Turkey. We need to use VPN to join. Of course, we can join with VPN, but in that scenario, we have some civil attack risk because everyone knowing here probably we are using so many different MetaMask goals and safe accounts, etc. And I am personally don't want to use VPN. And every meeting I'm making a reminder. Maybe we can use a Signal or I don't know, Telegram at least. If we have more concern for privacy, we can go to Signal. But it's hard to us to communicate with other people and to promote ourselves, etc. And this is maybe my 4th reminder.
Okay. Because in my area, in my region, I also have to use VPN to visit many websites. It's kind of my basic skills. So it's not a question for me because I'm familiar, or I get used to using VPNs to visit different amazing websites. So for I think a better communication channel, I have like a one compromise method. We have a one. We have a like I think in my own opinion, we have a really good conversation. So every time if you want something, I can copy paste to our Discord channel and help you promote. And also you can promote your content on the X. We can help retweet because currently we have planned to use Signal as a communication channel. However, after I did some research, some people Signals are also not very popular, and it requires more how to say stronger VPN in some areas. So things are really different and are really different globally. And I think that's the one method or the solution I can think about currently to solve your concerns. And thanks for filling the page for months.
But we was quite busy, and right now again we are building ZuKas 2nd edition and the governance at the same time. But I find the time, and I kept my promise. But I don't want to be bother you every time like a gatekeeper. Maybe we can find a solution. I believe Telegram is everyone have a Telegram in the Web3 ecosystem. Telegram is like a must-have, like an obligation in our ecosystem, and maybe we can go. Oh yeah. Maybe a Facebook group. But I don't know. You are using VPN consistently, and you're a pro VPN user. I understand that. But I have a concern about this because I hacked before, like 4 years ago, and my loss was amazing. My central exchange are hacked via VPN, and this is why I'm a little bit concerned about that, and I'm not using. I forbid myself to VPN. It's like personal privacy and security issues.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that because my wallet was also stolen. I guess it's because of some bad VPN. So
Yeah.
I totally got your concern, and we will figure out in what channels or what platforms we can help promote, because we'll keep thinking about it, because it's not very. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Thank you.
I will give you. I will be your assistant on the content promotion.
Thank you so much. Sure.
You're welcome, and thanks for supporting us. And does anyone have any other questions or want to get the secrets of boosting your CPs or about eligibility?
Yeah. I have a simple question. I didn't check the detail for the grant program. But I think it's week by week. So for a single project, it can apply or make application for every week, or only in this progress only one time. I don't know the permission or the rules.
Hi, Jason. Thank you for the question. It's not like a traditional application that is only aiming for a specific grant for some time. So basically, once your project is up there in Pensieve, it will forever be there. The information might be updated. It will always be there. So, for example, I think the first week, a project called DAP Learning earned the highest transparency or accountability. I forgot which one was it, and then the information just stays there. So in week 2, there's another project called Web3 Radio that came on top in terms of transparency by 10%, only having 7 items left. DAP Learning is still top 2, and then they earned the top 2 prize for second week. And so it will, the idea of the perennial grant is that it will constantly give support to the projects that are constantly performing high transparency. Of course, in the future, the requirements will be piling up. You will need, for example, more updates to the milestones or performance but the project will always be there. And this is how we keep everything on the table, like Kelly put it, versus we could bury your application in our inbox. And hopefully more grant programs we are in conversation with a lot of other potential grantors, like projects that are looking at giving funding to good projects, to partner with us and then make the grant pool much bigger than the experimental grant pool, which is only 800 per week. In the future, it might cover top 10 projects with more funding, but this will be, and as I was explaining, maybe not super clear, maybe then there will be software around, right? Like that, it will be constantly giving to software, or maybe there are grants that are focusing completely only on privacy projects, that will be looking at certain privacy features that projects are looking at with the filters. And the idea is that it will be not huge amount, but small amount by week or by month that will constantly be given to projects. And in the meantime, there's much less work to apply every week, like you were worried about. You're there, you'll be there.
Yeah.
There might be more work to do.
Yeah. Once I do it, I can keep.
Yeah, for example, it looks like East Chennai now this week is really coming on top on transparency. Though, right, yeah, this is with the right filter of the transparency this week. And Etna, I think, as one of the East communities that are based in East Sicily, they were not even in the rank last week, as I remember. And then they have, I think, it looks like they have 67% transparency. In the future, it will also not be so easy to gain popularity, like you just said, having more people to vote for you, because we intend for it to be more long-term support. Once people give you your vote, even if they change, it will not be so immediate that they will be able to switch to another project, right? It will be more linear, like in conviction voting, where their influence of contribution points will gradually go to the new project versus completely sweep everything under your feet. But for the purpose of the experiment, this time, it will be like easy voting. You just put all your CP behind projects.
Yeah, great idea. I will try.
I think this is one of the first experiments on grants. We don't have the biggest funding behind us because we do need this to be tested out first with all the projects that are involved. But we are very confident that many of the people who are thinking about more fair, more transparent, and more trust-instilled methods and mechanisms need to be out in the space. And we have already heard a lot of feedbacks from researchers and people who are doing grant programs. So bear with us for smaller awards these days. But once we are over the alpha stage, it will become much more full-fledged to support. And this is the hope, and this is what we have been working on. And thanks again for the support and interest.
Oh, I think I have one more question about if we have some single project like, we launch SuperPaymaster to empower individual community to have their own gas token. And another production is like AirAccount to help the community have their credential, Soban token, and some like own passkey with the TEE private key. So it's a different production. Do we, I don't know, we can launch 2 individual items in the grant or only one? I don't know.
Positive and yes. The idea is to capture all projects and efforts as like a collective contribution book, like a collective history. If you have worked on so many things, as I know that you have been working on, like all kinds of community tools. Also, Jesse earlier just introduced the new project. All of these projects that are open, at least for this round, for our grant experimentation, all of these projects are eligible for being on it. I don't know whether, Kelly, could you, for example, tap into any, you can start with ECF, for example, ECF page. There is a ecosystem tab that actually connects the projects together. If you say, for example, one of the projects below, AAStar is be considered as an incubation center in a way. You have built a lot of projects. For example, you can see under ECF there is Zuzalu Software. There's Carbon Vote V2. We need to also Pensieve as one of the tools that we work on. All of these in the future will factor into the performance of this organization in terms of its accountability and community support to have a better view. And so going up a little bit more, you also see a funding contribution tab, fund contributions. And this is somewhat the result of discussion with Devansh, who works at funding. But ideally, all these, let's say the graphs of how behind the scene, how you helped other projects and how other projects are helping you would also demonstrate here, and see that we're not working on making it more transparent from our team, but I personally will go into filling in some of the items that confirm contributions in the financial terms from people like Vitalik, who support us on Zuzalu Software and Carbon Vote, and then from other financiers that have donated to us for working on Pensieve. And this also will become a leaderboard very soon that will show all the financial contributions as well in our history. And we plan to have a way to incentivize more of this content on top of the knowledge contribution to make the picture more clear. But we do encourage, of course, everyone to be more upfront with how it's going. And at the same time, we understand there are concerns on disclosing too much. So on the mechanism level, there is no punishment to whoever who doesn't want to, let's say, whoever doesn't want to disclose too much. We only want to surface projects that are willing to be more transparent and open. On the other hand, for sensitive items, a lot of them we have not enrolled in we have not pushed out into the real production yet, exactly because some of the information can be quite sensitive and security concerning. And without ZK technology, without privacy technologies, we don't want to put this pressure on projects yet. Let me read what Jesse is saying. Maybe worth mentioning, we talked about with regard to projects that participate in contributing but are not looking for funding. Of course, you can decline it and then pass it to the next ranked project if you're willing to, and this is all very open. And that could even be the case that basically, if, for example, ZuGov or any other projects that won the prize and is willing to give to the next project, this becomes your donation, right? From like the perennial grant, granted a little amount for you to support you, and then you pass it on to the next project. This all, I would say, forms a very, very loving, caring environment for the vibe for community builders to help each other. I think, Tariq, you have a question?
Yeah. Actually, not a question, but looks like a question. When I try to add more value to ZuKas at Pensieve, for the funding and the other parts, for example, if the organization is not already in Pensieve, I believe, we can tag it. Like, for example, we had a small grant from Zircuit. I try to add, but like when I say Zircuit, if it's not found in the...
Right.
we have a grant from Vitalik, but I can't add as Vitalik. I can't be more transparent. System is not allowed yet.
Right. And I think you would be able to either search for the project or just to type in, but the individuals are something that I don't think is in the function, is Reno around. Basically here, if you don't have that project in the knowledge base yet, yep. The idea is if you could also fill in the content for this project to exist in the knowledge base. And this helps us also to map out the whole landscape of who are contributing financially. Even if they themselves are not necessarily interested, it would be very helpful for us and also for you to see that item live if you can put the project into the knowledge base. However, with the specific case of Vitalik, for example, mentioned, I'm not sure we had that as like an individual donor kind of situation. There is the idea of having a people Pensieve, like having people to own their public page in Pensieve, but the sensitivity is also super high. Like if people say things that are not true and it could be damaging to the people, we want to tread that water very carefully. So there is the idea, but there has not been this implementation yet. However, I do think if we could allow a column to say it's not an organization, just a person, and you could just mention that person without having to create the person's page, that would be ideal. This we should discuss in the next sprint with the dev and the design team. I don't think Reno is around anymore. Reno is around. Yeah, let's note that down and then discuss so that. But for the purpose of this round of the experimentation, you could just input that project that have given you the donations. That would already fulfill the purpose of having this item filled to boost your transparency score. And we welcome you in the future to come back to put all the donors. We would love to, because obviously because we didn't work on this particular item ourselves very well. In terms of ECF page, we didn't realize we couldn't put a Vitalik name ourselves. So let's take a look at that. And then thank you very much for the feedback. And we should add that. And all of these processes of you guys, testing with us is really what really valuable for us to hear how we can improve to make things more authentic. Like at some point, some people had to put some fake token in order to have the content when the not applicable option wasn't available. And then that disqualified certain projects, and because they wanted transparency, but they couldn't choose the option of not applicable when they don't have token. And all of these were like updated last week or the week before in order to make the function more complete. Thanks again for the feedback. All right. In any case, I also want to respond a little bit to the VPN issue. I understand very well the difficulty because I also come from the region Kelly is based in. And for Google Meet, Signal, Telegram, none of these tools that are widely available outside of China was available to us. And providing VPN service itself is quite a risky and tricky thing. Which is understandable for regional stability, and then it's up to the regulations. But it did pose itself as a huge challenge for us to keeping up with knowledge and even personal growth. And this is, I think, where Kelly was coming from in terms of saying that this has become a habit already. I think one of the solutions after your first feedback of not being able to access Discord. For the rest of us who can access Discord, there is a channel called Please Support My Pending Items. So you can actually post it so that you could get more other contributors support. But we do have the idea of setting up a community channel with Mattermost, which is self-hosted for contributors. And the idea is to having that channel like kind of available for anybody. But the thing is, it can always be banned for regions. Like we changed maybe 5 times for community to come around. Some of us who have been a long time with Zuzalu Software knew that we started out with Gilded, which was already the 3rd tool, and then we moved to Element, and then we moved to Mattermost and then Discord, because we want to still have the reach to folks that do not enjoy so much of the difficulty and challenges of the privacy tools. And I think we don't have very good solutions until these software would be available and really crossing borders. At the same time, they would also be very much targeted. So the only option at hand, just to add to what, and status, for example, thank you for Jesse's reminder. Started a new route of a community group kind of idea. So not just instant direct messages or small groups. However, around the time of ZuVillage Georgia, when we were, Veronica was very much into pushing everyone to use the most private tools at hand, even though, there's this caution that I also presented, because in 2018, Vitalik also pushed for status, but the user experience was so challenging that it basically burnt a little bit the traction that was attracted to status. So we were a little bit cautious, but still wanted it to be tested. Unfortunately, it really like a bad omen that came true, which is the community function was so much so that it's really not private. Like anybody would be able to see everything instead of really gated to the attendance. However, I think it might still work for us because we do want more people to participate in the knowledge base. The more anything is tested by more people, then it is more likely to be true. Like we don't have the finality on truth with the Pensieve's philosophy anyway. So maybe we can consider a status, and hopefully that is not banned anywhere yet until they get much more popularity, I hope. So what I was saying is we might still keep Discord for common folks, and we could also have something like status or a self-hosted Mattermost for anybody who has challenges with using certain very well-known platforms, so that there is a back and forth, but sorry, so that there are optionality. But at the same time, it would still mean that the biggest group would never be in, like those that cater to challenging regions. So it could be that we still need people to help us, port things around. And I'm very grateful to Kelly's relentless support to a lot of the users, including Tariq, to get message across from different groups. And the belief is definitely that, of course, we have different communities with different values, and this is the idea of letting people contribute to their own community and innovate with their own ways, with different tools that they need. But at the same time, if quote unquote markets are not merged, you have this asymmetric information. This is always where things can get hidden, corrupted, and then taken advantage of. One of the major reasons of Pensieve focusing on having these project pages available and contributed and open to anyone. And but we have to work with what we have. So I have here Civil Monkey having a question: what have the specific difficulties been using the element / matrix I've been using to properly use it as it's supposed to integrate content from other messengers? The main difficulty would be adoption. If you have people who come together for they already come with awareness of why these tools, Element, for example, are much better in terms of security and privacy, it's much easier for them to use. Most of the time during an event, even if we get these tools adopted, they become over time dormant when most other people that they have connections with are still in Telegram. Or like these days a little better with Signal. So it becomes difficult to reach people in the end, and then you have to ping them again from another channel, and then it's like I don't even know which one is the backup plan anymore. Eventually, this works. Element works for very dedicated groups that have these shared values and awareness of the advantages and are willing to work through difficulties. From our coordination's purpose, our experience with Element is that when we work together as a team and with the contributors that are not necessarily officially on the team, it becomes difficult to find threads that are relevant to them, and messages get lost, and the search function of Element is quite challenging. So things that were said need extra care to archive better into other documents for it to not be lost. So in the end, when we pivoted to Mattermost, sounds like a promotion to them. Now they've done a great job in archiving all the threads into one place. You can search very well what are the things that are discussed over different channels, and then it's faster threading. I hate and love the function of reply. Being like reply basically just automatically opens another thread, so that it does not become a back and forth and big chunks of blocks that occupy the main first screen of certain channels. So far it has been working very well with a lot of customization bots and stuff for us. While Element sometimes still has the issue of people not getting a notification well, they're not being able to get what was said before. So like a lot of things that need to be repeated. This is our experience. Our great experience was with Gilded. Unfortunately, they were bought by, let's not go there. And in any case, it was not open source. We cannot really self-host it very well. So we're pretty happy with the Mattermost for now. However, in order to have a better larger outreach to anybody who's not necessarily into devoting their time into having this conversation with Pensieve, but every now and then engaging with the product, more generic tools where they could manage all the community they're in, such as Discord, or other groups, other direct message apps like Signal and Telegram still work better because they do look at them better, sooner and faster, and then we get faster response when we outreach. So these are kind of the user feedbacks to Element. I still use it for certain very privacy concerned projects. However, most of the groups that we set up there, once we don't start to, even if, for example, Kelly, we still announce things on Element, you get less and less activity. or engagement over time, because people, if there's also notifications, you still open maybe Telegram first and Signal first, and then maybe your work-focused software first, instead of having all of these other tools that you don't use very often there. But this is in the place of the magical UX understanding, and it's really down to how the people who want to talk to really respond to how we want to contact them, or which channels we use to contact them. Individually, I think Signal has the contacts that are much more focused already in the deep discussions, and Telegram is a bit more generic at this stage. I actually even envy Tarek, you're able to use Telegram without VPN, for example, but I completely understand all the concerns and difficulties. So let's also, roll out the support for an alternative community gathered place. I think Telegram itself would work not too bad. We actually have a Zuzalu Pensieve group that formed with maybe less activity these days, because we were aiming to launch it during Zuzalu in 2023. But there were some technical issues, and we were not super happy with the design not being able to scale. So it became a dormant group. But if we direct also the newcomers there, maybe it's an easier way to have support. Let's maybe try that. Telegram group as a self-note. Telegram group reactivation. All right. Is there anybody else? Sounds like civil money is involved with Element, and I'm very glad that I was heard. Thank you. Yeah, right. Most of the time, Telegram works for the crypto. Like, if you see anybody in your contacts finally jumped on Telegram, you're like, okay, they're involved in crypto now. Like, at least in my case, that's the case after years. We have questions. So if for anybody else, if you have no questions, officially, I think Zuzalu Software Townhall is finished, but we're here just in case anybody still has a question can get to us. If not, this call has been also quite long, and thank you all for support and attention to projects that Jason and Jesse have shared. These efforts are these continuous efforts with grit need to be appreciated, and we could only do this part, and the rest is really left for community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Let's call it a day. See you. Thank you.
See you.